And hello and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program. This is episode 3 of Kethane Wars. And in this episode, we get to fly the plane that I designed while you guys were not looking. Yep, so this plane actually is fairly different than the one that we originally designed in the sense that it's not actually all that long range. Because you'll notice right here that the fuel tanks aren't actually connected properly, so I actually have to transfer the fuel as I'm flying, and only 2 fuel tanks are actually being used. So this is actually the first flight of this plane, so that's why I'm actually driving the wrong direction from the mountains, and I'm doing some weird maneuvers and flying kind of low and kind of slow and all that stuff. Eventually I do get up to proper speed and height, and then we can actually start using the turbojet, whatever high altitude engines and ram air intakes properly. So yeah, now we're making our turn, and I'm just going to be going to the map pretty soon to be making sure I'm going in the right direction. And that's coming up soon. Soon. And that's my Steam. That's not yours. I'm just going to mute that. So yeah, the thing's not super fuel efficient, especially at this altitude. It doesn't get super far. But you'll notice pretty soon that we're actually going to get up to the proper altitude. Here I am banking up. Come on. I know it's in here. I've seen this video before. And yeah, you can see the speed actually starting to actually climb fairly quickly. I think we get to about 1,200-ish before I actually... Yeah, see there it is. That's where I stalled the engines. Luckily there wasn't too bad, and this plane actually has a ridiculously high drag profile, so it glides really well, but it also self-levels, so it doesn't actually go into a dead spin, or tail spin, whatever, flat spin. Basically when you can't control your plane spin, it doesn't do that. It tends to self-right itself, and it can actually glide fairly good without power. And if it's in a spin, it actually recovers fairly quickly, as you saw. I think I stall it one more time, but actually, no, never mind. I don't actually go up to altitude anymore because we're actually over the mountains right now. You'll also notice that I accidentally actually screwed up a bit because I wasn't exactly sure where the Kethane was. I thought it was directly on top of the mountains, but you're going to see that I'm actually going to miss. So I'm flying over the first set of mountains, and I can't actually tell where I am on the map because I don't actually see my little white pixels being added. And in fact, I don't actually see where I've been for a really long time, so I'm totally actually flying fairly blind. I don't exactly know where that green Kethane node is. All I know is where I think it was, which was over top of these mountains that I'm over right now, and I'm like turning to get over top of the middle of it because I was pretty sure I missed it. At this speed and altitude, this plane actually has a ridiculously huge turning radius. Like, I'm actually banked like 90 degrees, and it's not turning. It's still going way too fast, and I'm just going to completely miss the ocean, and I'm actually trying to pull up as fast as I can without flipping the plane over. I'll admit, I probably could have turned off SAS and then pulled up really sharp, but then I didn't want to lose all my speed, but I did anyways, so in the end, I probably should have just done that. And we're getting close. This is kind of where I first start noticing that on the map where I am, because you can see there's a straight line, like a diagonal straight line that's like cutting across all the other vertical ones that were done from the satellite, and that's kind of where I realized, oh wait, that must be me. So I'm just trying to drop down a bit because I'm actually detecting some Kethane right now. So I just flew over top of the node, and that's why I suddenly decided to drop. But of course, because this plane really doesn't like slowing down, I had to get really low, and I basically shut off my engines and fell as fast as I possibly can. And of course, because it took me so long to get down this low into a position where I could potentially land, that I'd way overshot it and actually had to fly a fairly long distance back. And this is me trying to figure out how exactly far I've drifted, but again, I can't see any of my little specks on the map, so I don't actually know where I am. And the detector's been on this whole time. It's just I cannot see it. You actually saw it briefly. I had a wheel actually perpendicular to the other 3, and it's right in the front on the front landing gear. That's actually a really good idea. I do it a lot on my planes that I intend to have runway missions. Essentially by having the wheel in the front and a nose down position, it allows me to make like a quick turn without having to turn on the engines. I might explain this later in another video, but this is a post commentary right now, so I won't actually be able to go back. But I'm going to switch over to the live commentary, and you guys can kind of hear what I was saying as soon as I landed. Well, not as soon as I was set up and landed. And hello guys, this is MrCarltron, and as you can see, we are currently landed in the Breadwinner Long Range Survey M. And as you can see, we have already started mining, and it appears that we do not actually generate enough power for us to actually continuously harvest. Obviously this guy's a little different than the one that was in the hangar before, because that one wasn't finished, and you would have seen a time-lapse beforehand of me building this thing. So as you can see, we're already getting somewhere, but we're also not really generating a whole lot of power. I don't know if this is... Let's give this a shot. Ooh boy. Look at that. That caused a lot of power. No, we are gaining liquid fuel. And losing Kethane at an alarming rate. But I think so far we actually might be in front of Noob at the moment. So I guess while that's going, we can try and figure out what exactly Noob is up to. So this is, in case no one's actually noticed, I don't think I've ever shown it, but this is actually the space station. So anyone's allowed to upload or fly stuff out to it. I just haven't yet. So we've seen this. It's some sort of spy satellite, but I don't know if Noob has launched anything else. I think by the time I recorded this, I don't think he would have actually recorded his second episode yet. And another thing to note as well is that I actually lied. I thought the resources were over this mountain, and you would have noticed that in the time-lapse I actually looped past, flew over them, and then ended up looping back. And as you can see on the map here, there is kind of like the candy cane shape we made. The only problem is I could not actually tell where we were until about here when I noticed that there is this line going across, and I figured, oh, that must be me. But it's going pretty good, and you'll also notice another thing I've been just kind of trying to deal with is the fact that I kind of goofed up on the fuel lines. I actually noticed almost instantly that, wait a minute, these side ones aren't actually connected to these two middle ones. But it's fine. The plane actually has way more than enough lift. As you can see, I basically glided in super slow-like without the use of the engines. And because of the placement of the landing gear so ridiculously far down, I don't have to worry about knocking off the engine, which is what these are for, because without it, the placement of these wings and the landing gear will actually cause them to get knocked off. If you hit too hard, they just kind of bounce, the suspension doesn't quite compensate fast enough, and you lose your landing gear. I think we're still gaining Kethane. If we deactivate you, yeah, we're still gaining Kethane. I guess I didn't really need to do that to figure that out. Actually, I want to try something. I've never actually tried this, but if I shut down one of these engines, but then turn on the other, because these engines actually generate electricity, right? And as long as your brakes are on, you don't really have to worry about it. If I have both on, is that enough generating? Because with everything running, does this actually generate surplus energy? Oh boy. Nope, that's bad. Okay, so we can't full throttle it. And I don't think this is actually generating enough electricity to do anything. Yeah, no, that doesn't look like it's really working. And I gotta stop doing that. Stop it. So yeah, action groups, I do not use them. Oh, that would help too. Turn off lights, we don't need those. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot we can do actually to make this thing run more efficiently. I guess I could wait until we're completely full up, and then I can do the fly mission back, but that might take a while. So I don't know if anyone actually wants to see that. But I guess you can't really provide your feedback, and I'll probably just record it anyways. So I'm going to throw this into super speed. Oh boy. What was that? Yeah, no, okay, we're not going to do 3 times, because it looks like the plane might snap in half. But so far we've generated a fair amount of fuel. We've almost managed to fill up one of these. Which means because these were about even, right? So we've produced about 60 liquid fuel, and we've only been here for like 5 minutes. That's not bad at all. But this will really take a while. Should have put multiple drills on. That might have been cool. Oh. This is pretty uneventful, actually, to be honest. This is interesting though, because like the way it's designed is like I could probably circumnavigate the globe with this thing, because these nodes are spread out fairly evenly enough, and KSC is like over here somewhere, right? And we drove a fair distance, and we actually ended up looping around. I didn't actually get to altitude for a while. So I guess ideally we could probably make the trip around the globe. I don't know if I want to do that, but I might at some point. Oh, and it even tells you. I did not know it does that. It tells you how many liters are left. Wow, we are never ever going to run out. Because if I'm assuming one of these is equal to one of those, that an excessively huge amount of fuel, and this is one of the small little nodes. Huh. Well, I don't really know if there's a whole lot more we can talk about, but I guess until next time, this has been MrCarltron, Carltron, and I'll start seeing you next time. Wow, I shall see you next time in Kerbal Space Program Kethane Wars.